Trying to get that signal out there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Get Reelisms podcast. I'm Adam Chase Rennie. Today is a pretty good day, actually. It's pretty hot here in Austin. It's like we're pushing like past the hundreds, and it's pretty fucking hot. So I hope you guys are doing good. All my California friends, what's up? And we actually do have a California friend with us right now. Ladies and gentlemen, LA-based hair and makeup special effects artist and all-around gangsta. Straight up G. The dopest of the dope. Wildest of the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, Roxanne McDaniel. Hi, Roxy.
Hey, so I'm now Californian. Like, I've lost my Texas title now.
Yeah, you're California now, so you're gonna start saying hella at any point. By the way, I still say hella, and I didn't really truly understand me saying hella like in a like a conversation with someone who is from Texas, to be so taken aback from that by a word that essentially is a made up word. That I don't think is a made-up word, because everyone I knew who I grew up with, even my family, says hella. I'm just used to it, but it's like the oh, oops, someone left. Oh, Roxy left.
Sorry.
I went on. Let me tell you something, Roxy. I went on for like another 5 more minutes, and I didn't even know you left. I went on, just kept going. I was firing off. I was like, and another thing, Roxy.
You don't need me. You got this. Just do your whole show by yourself. Here's what we'll do.
I'm like a real Joy Behar from The View, just like taking over the conversation. Let me tell you something.
We're just going to get a couple of cardboard cutouts of a couple people, and we'll set them up in front of a camera and just now and then wiggle them so it looks like they're nodding their heads, and you'll be great. That's the plan for next week.
I think I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start doing that. Just have like cardboard cutouts and just like pre-record the interviews, and just me like off frame, just like having a stick, just doing this, like showing that I'm talking and shit. Yeah, that's
plan.
Utterly ridiculous. So Roxy, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I appreciate you. So we were talking literally just minutes before I started talking to myself. Hair and makeup union. So yes. Every department has essentially a union. Right? Is that fair to say?
For the most part, yeah. There's a couple of them that get there's a couple of weird ones, but yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of weird ones, but for the most part, almost every department has their respective unions, and in order to get into that respective union, well, let's just use hair and makeup for an example. How is your experience getting into that union? Like, I'd assume like experience has to come before even applying, right?
So I've not yet gotten into the union. I've started the early days of figuring it out. The other important thing to note is that for certain states will have their own union. Certain regions have a separate union. The one I'm trying to get into is the local 706, which is the California Hair and Makeup Artists Union. So that's everything I will be talking about is specifically for that union.
Right.
Different rules and all that sort of stuff. The fun thing for me is it's one of the hardest ones to get into. So you need either 30 days of union work. So best case scenario is you get hired for a production, and then suddenly, partially through, it flips and becomes a union show. If you're on it for 30 days at that point, congratulations. You have enough hours and days to get into the union.
Mm-hmm.
Then you apply. You have to submit a bunch of stuff, submit some paperwork, and then it's between $7,000 and $8,000 to get in at that point.
Just to hang on, just to apply or to get in?
To get in. Like that
Gotcha.
is your like initiation fee.
Whoa.
Yep.
So wait, how can anyone? I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's crazy. Like $8,000 to just get in. That's just nuts.
That is the best case scenario. Is that whole thing of events? No matter what, to get in, you're going to spend that much money. But yeah, that is like winning the lottery. Is getting a show that flips.
Right.
The other way you can get in is by getting it's 60 and 3, I think is what the term is called, which is where you need 3 years that you get 60 non-union days in the span of 5 years.
Okay, gotcha.
With the thing of only certain kinds of productions count.
Oh, so like music videos don't count, and
if they are shown on a major network.
Really?
So if you do a music video
is YouTube technically a major network?
Unless so, if it is a paid subscription channel, it counts. So if you just make a short film, doesn't get into festivals or anything, you put it up on YouTube, will not count.
Won't count.
You make a short film and it gets like, what is it, YouTube Red? Is that the one you have to pay for? If it gets put on YouTube Red, it'll count. But with short films, that only counts if it's over, I think, 40 minutes. You have to be paid at least minimum wage. If you get on the call sheet put as hair and makeup and not just hair or makeup, only half the days will count because they're 2 separate positions. What's some of the other?
Fair enough.
Let's see. Short films are weird.
Commercials
depends.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on the corporation, all that. Yeah.
A lot of times, basically, what I've had some people say is keep everything, submit everything, knowing maybe 1/3 of what you submit will count. And that you're also
that right there, that tells you everything. Like you have to have not only experience, but you have to have a shit ton of experience, because half of that experience won't even count towards even the union, So, wow, that's wild, Roxy.
It's wild. And then even once you're in it, then you kind of almost reset to where a lot of makeup artists that I know, what they've told me is the hardest thing for them was they worked so hard to get into the union. Because of course, for those who don't know, the big appeal of the union is that number one, you get your retirement, you get pension, you get health benefits. You also typically get kind of like a guaranteed base pay, which is significantly more most of the time than you're going to get on an indie film. But the problem is you're very dependent on other makeup artists in the union hiring you. So if you've spent the past, 4 or 5 years working your way through the trenches to get into the union, but you haven't been able to work with any union makeup artists, you basically restart to day one of trying to connect with people and build that network up to get those union people to be calling you.
Mm-hmm. And then from that point on, you have to only work unionized sets.
Kind of.
Kind of? Okay.
You're supposed to prioritize union sets, is my understanding. I've heard some people say that
that makes sense, actually.
Some people, they're like, nah, you can do non-union, you just keep it very quiet. Some people are like, oh yeah, no, you take non-union, but if you get an offer for a union job, you have to take that union job.
Right. By proxy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that whole thing. You also always want to prioritize union jobs because to maintain your union status, you have to have so many days and hours.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like if you, let's say a year goes by and you don't hit the full amount that you need, you aren't kicked out of the union. However, you don't have your health and benefits anymore. because you're not like maintaining your membership.
Right. So your benefits go away, essentially. Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. Well, and also, like, I would assume people, especially hair and makeup artists, would want to go to the union for insurance purposes as well. You know, it makes sense that way. But yeah, I mean, there's always positives and negatives with unions, you know, but that's definitely wild, though, to have all that experience and then to know that maybe a third of it, if you've been in the game for long enough, maybe a third of it will get passed through the pipeline in the union, you know. And then after that, you can only accept those union. I mean, of course, like the off union jobs, there are some, but for the most part, you can't accept like student films. You know, you can't do like tiny little things, you know, which is, I guess, cool, because that means, you know, in the industry, you're, you know, a high paying, you have a reputation, like you have a resume, you've been working on them big sets and shit like that, you know. So yeah, I know there's positive and negatives with it, but yeah. I know with your experience, so at this point, you're just trying to get that experience.
Yeah, like I've started, because you have to, the best jobs to work when you're trying to get into the union are jobs that go through a payroll company. Okay. Those are the best because they're the easiest ones to get to count, because typically you just contact the payroll company, you ask them for a verification letter, they send you a verification letter, and that letter says, here's how many days you worked, here's your position, here's your rate of pay, here's the kind of production it was. So it makes it where you don't have to fight as hard, because it's like, look, this company over here, they just said everything that you needed to know and gave me an official letter. Right. That's easier. What was your question? I lost my train of thought.
I don't remember either. That was, but yeah. But I had a question, but go ahead. What was your point?
Well, I was going to say, so for me, I'm at the point that I've contacted various payroll companies to start getting my letters, and I'm now working on like an Excel spreadsheet to start like figuring out where I am, how much more I need, and all that. COVID has, of course, thrown a fun curveball at everybody. So I have a few friends that I feel so bad for them, because in February they're like, cool, as long as I get 20 more days this year, I'm in.
Oh no. Yeah, because then once March hits, everyone was home. Yeah, that sucks.
So longer this situation goes on, like, it's now getting to the point where, you know, before they were like, cool, I have 10 months to get 20 days. That'll count towards that 60-day total or whatever.
Man.
And now it's just like, ooh,
that's a ball buster.
Yeah.
That hurts. That hurts a lot. And of course, like, you know, no one plans a pandemic. We know. We understand. But at the same time, there's got to be a statute of limitations, right? Like you can't just say like, well, you guys didn't put in that experience, so
I mean,
you snooze, you lose.
That you have, it's 3 years in the span of 5 years.
Right.
So there's like, yeah, it's just, it depends on how long this goes. I'm hoping that maybe they add some sort of like amendment that if your 5 years falls with 2020 in it, that either it's a lower count for this year, or that they say, well, it's 3 years and 6 years if 2020 falls in that 5 year span.
Yeah, that's what I have a feeling. Like, I feel like people are just going to take this year as like a shot year. Like they're just like, this is an empty year. We're just gonna pretend this never happened.
I'm on board with that plan, man, because 2020 is a wash at this point.
I'm there with you. It's a wash. It's a straight up wash. But I wanted to ask you though, so you said you're trying to apply for Section 706, right?
Local 706.
Local 706. Why is that the hardest local in all of LA?
I think what it is that, and it's what there's several that are hard, but I know, like, I've been talking to DPs, and when I've mentioned, like, yeah, I want to go 706, they're like, oh God, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
What a DP is recognizes, like, that's a hard one to get into. That's when you're like, fuck my life.
Yeah.
And I think what it is that it's just there's a lot of makeup artists at the end of the day. Truthfully, getting into makeup, you don't actually need that much training. As long as you know how to do makeup and you learn on the job, there's no, like, gatekeeping to keep people out. So compared to a lot of other positions, it's actually relatively easy to start working in film as a makeup artist on the indie side.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why they've made it so hard, is that it's a way of weeding people out. And that's with every union. That's why they have their rules in place typically, is that they're trying to weed out the people that don't meet their standards, that don't play by their rules. Because, sorry, what's that?
Oh, yeah.
But there is also kind of like a status that goes with being a union makeup artist.
Right.
So being able to say you're a union makeup artist means something, and they want to make sure that they're not kind of watering down that title by being like, yeah, no, anyone can get in. Sure, yeah, you pay this money, you're a union makeup artist. Because you see that with various organizations. They start as elite, and then they kind of keep lowering and lowering the standards, and then before it's like, oh, well, yeah, it used to mean something being part of that. Now it's just whatever.
Because if anybody can get in, yeah, it just sort of defeats the purpose. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That's interesting, though. And I feel like that probably goes that for saying for most unions, right? Like, because, I mean, if anybody can do cinematography, people would join the union.
Mm-hmm.
If people can do hair and makeup, they would just do it. But that's the fundamental difference between people who want to do it versus people who want to make that their career or their life.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fascinating because those are the people who want to make that their vocation, their job. And
I think with, like, it costing so much to get in, like,
yeah,
you are damn sure committed to being a makeup artist for the rest of your life if you're going to spend $7,000 on it.
You're going to spend $7,000, and also you're going to spend your time getting all of the experience, like as much experience as you fucking can get. If that means you have to book like 7 jobs in a row and not sleep for like a month, fuck it. You kind of have to hustle. Do it, yeah. And I think we're all, I mean, at least for me, I know there's some people who are thriving in this fucking quarantine. I don't know who, but I know there's some people, and God bless them for them who are. But your boy's not working as much as he wants to. But yeah, it's just it's one of those times where it kind of comes to show you, it's like, oh yeah, this is where you understand yourself as a human being, whether or not you want to do this. You know what I mean? Like, imagine the people who do want to do hair and makeup versus the people who thought they want to do hair and makeup and realize how much fucking work it is to get into that union. And they're like, yeah, I want to make this my career. It's like, okay, bitch, but are you ready to put in the time and the money? Like,
oh yeah. And I mean, that's one of the big things right now is that, and this is something I do believe that you should kind of figure out what you want with your career.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for any department, because you can make a living working non-union productions, depending on the area you live in, depending on the skill set you have. Like, there's people that all they want to do is web content. They just want to make YouTube videos, which is great. And that's fine. If that's what gives you joy and you're able to make enough money doing that, awesome. If that's all you want, don't spend the time working on going union, because you probably won't get as much from it as someone else who wants to work on theatrical films. Like, it really is, you have to decide what your long-term goals are for making that kind of decision, I think. Just because, like you said, it's such a both financial and a time investment.
Well, I mean, is it fair to say like a union's almost like a safety net in a way?
If
financially and insurance wise, you know? Yeah.
I mean, because it's so hard to get into. I think this sounds terrible. It's easier to just get married to someone that doesn't work in the industry and has a normal job and get on their insurance than it is to go union. Like, that's a better net, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but I get what you mean, and I think you get what I mean too, because it's one of those things where it's just like you got to pick and choose the way you want to live, you know. And I mean, I definitely lived at a time where I had no insurance, and let me tell you something, it's not great. It's you know, it's you're stuck worrying all the time. You're sick, and you're like, well, I hope this is a cold and it'll pass, you know.
I and actually got like a physical like last week.
Yeah,
and
dude.
First time in like 7 to 8 years I'd gotten one. And there's a laundry list of things that are like, cool. Yep. So let's talk about life changes. I'm like, oh, that's fun.
Before I left California, I did a physical, and before then, the last physical I took, I was like, I was 20. I was 22 when I took my last physical, I'm sorry, no, 24. I was 24, and the physical before that, I was 16 years old.
Yeah. Sorry.
That was oh no, you're good. But yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like the physicals, I never think about doing that because I always thought to myself, hey, yeah, I don't need a doctor. I know I'm fine. But at the same time, yeah, no, you definitely want to get checked up, and yeah, you start to know. Oh, look at that puppy. Yeah. But yeah, physicals to me, especially for insurance, like yeah, they're important. But yeah, like there's some people who just can't fucking afford that, and there are just some people who are like, fuck it, like I just need to keep working. Like I can't worry about this shit. Insurance is important. Don't get me wrong. It's very important, but I feel like there's so many people out there who just rather just get fucking work done than worry about bitch ass insurance.
It's fair. That is completely fair.
Listen, you know, and you know this, Roxy, adulting fucking sucks. Like it's
adulting much.
It's too fucking much between taxes, insurance, and fucking, you know. Being in the industry, by the way, doing taxes is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare.
Spend the money on a CPA that knows the industry. That is my biggest thing. So when I was in Texas, I had a CPA, and he was a Texas good old boy.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Was a terrible decision.
Right.
Because I ended up, every year I owed money. And it was just always that thing. My logic was like, as long as it's under 1,000. That's how I went into tax season every year. I was like, if I spend less than $1,000 in taxes, I've come out ahead.
Wow.
Moving to LA, and I got recommendations from other people in the industry of like CPAs they liked. Went to my CPA here, gave her my information. We talked for a while. And it was also a thing when we were talking, there were things she's like, well, do you have something for this? How about these things? Do you spend money on this? And like she went through a list of things with me to the end. I was like, all right, wow. How much do I owe? And she went, well, here's how much you owe me, but I'll just take that out of your reimbursement.
Yeah, but you're wondering like, no, what I owe to the government?
Yeah, and then like, she's like, honey, you're getting money back, so I'll just take my money out of your money. I was like,
did you just break down in tears? I would break down in tears. I would just be like, oh my God.
Lord. Because the person I had before, he did not understand the industry we worked in. And the moment that I should have run for the hills.
Even though he's a CPA?
He was a CPA, but he didn't specialize in film. He was just like a regular CPA. And film is such a weird industry that there's a lot of things that count. Like, as a makeup artist, one of the things I have to buy that is a work tool is literally makeup products.
Yeah.
The first time I turned in my receipts to him and I had receipts from makeup stores, he was like, does that really count? What are you trying to write off here?
Are you fucking shitting me? Are you serious?
He was dead serious. And I had to like explain, he was like, well, as a makeup artist,
bitch, that's my job.
The moment I should have run for the hills from this man was when he made a comment that essentially boiled down to, yeah, you could register as a business, but if you're only going to do this for the next few years until you have kids, I wouldn't bother.
Oh, this bitch. This bitch is wild. And you're right. Like, he's as Texas as you can get. For sure.
That assumed I just was doing makeup as a fun hobby until I got knocked up. Yeah, you see. So I chose to stay. Like, I can only be so mad at him about it because I still kept going to him for another couple years because tax season would roll around and I was too stressed out and couldn't be bothered to try and figure out a new solution.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I left the state and I was like, well, I have to find someone new. I'm doing this the right way now. Film friends, please tell me who to call.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's amazing.
But yeah, and you know, no one talks about this shit, by the way. No one at all talks about, like, because I just did my taxes this year. Well, I didn't just do it. Let me rephrase that. I did it like a couple months ago. But yeah, while doing it, I was like, it just became so complicated. Like, I have a tax guy who I work with in California, and I just send him my shit, and this year he was like, man, I don't know how to figure out your shit, bro. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, so you work in the industry now? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, okay. And like, he was just like, shit was just complicated for him. It was like an episode of the X-Files, and like David Duchovny is just like sitting there just trying to think and shit. He's just like, he just couldn't process any of it. And he was just like, yeah, you have like W-2s everywhere. You have all this shit, and you have, I can't even keep track of any of this. And he was like, he got to the point where he was like, hey man, next year I'm going to refer you to a CPA so I don't have to deal with this shit. I'm like, hey, you know, if you could do that, great. My tax guy is like, fuck you. I'm not doing your taxes.
It's so weird and complicated because there's so many. And truthfully, I feel like sometimes a lot of it is thing of like, file it and just fingers crossed that they don't ask you questions.
And I was going to do that, but I had a feeling that the IRS is just going to fucking chew my ass up. So I just wanted to play it safe, of course.
Oh, and that's like my CPA, like I said, I really loved her because first year I went in, I like nearly broke down. I was like, oh God.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was actually, I was like, I don't have a receipt for that. I didn't know I was supposed to be tracking that. And at one point, I think she saw my face. So I was like on the verge of tears.
Why does a sheet? Yeah.
And she was like, this is fine. This is your first year with me. The first year, we're going to be in here for a couple hours talking shit out. We're going to miss some stuff, but you'll learn. The next year, we'll bring that time down because you'll have learned from this year and you'll know what I need from you. I'll have less questions. You'll just hand me papers. She's like, 3-4 years in, typically my clients don't even have to come in. They just send me a spreadsheet and all the information's there because I've trained them.
See, that's what service looks like.
Yes.
You know?
That's why if anyone needs a CPA, hit me up. I will give you her info because I love her.
Yo, I might hit you up. Shit.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And it was great.
No, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
So when I walked in there and I started talking to her, it was a weird moment. I was like, oh God, I am small fry. Because she was like talking about like full production companies she worked with and producers and directors. And like, it wasn't like they were big names, but it's a thing where it's like, oh, they're giving you things for like 40 employees. And it's like, I'm just me. I'm one person.
Yeah.
But so she was like,
I have some receipts from Sephora.
Pretty much. Like, that's what it was. But that's, going back to something you said before, I think this is one of the big problems, especially, like, I've talked to other friends that went to makeup school, because we've gone, I think we talked about this last time, I never went to makeup school, I was self-taught, but I have friends that went to, like...
Well, look at you getting this experience like a goddamn G, homie.
But one of the big problems with any of these schools, whether it's a makeup school, whether it's a film school, a technical trade school, is most of them don't teach you the day-to-day business side of things.
Yeah, and I assume they don't even teach you how to do fucking taxes either.
That's a business skill. Like, realistically, knowing how to do your taxes is a business skill, because also, once you understand how your taxes work and all that sort of stuff, you then start to learn, like, okay, I can spend a little bit more on this tool that's going to make my job better, because so much of that I'm going to get to write off in my taxes anyway. So I might as well spend the extra $200 here on this tool that's going to save me this much time, because I'm going to get that money back potentially. And it starts changing thinking as a business person, because yes, we work in film.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, like, we all like to think of ourselves as being artists, but there is another side to it. To be successful as an artist, you need to also have business skills and business knowledge. Yeah, your business acumen has to be there. It truly has to be there. And and I didn't realize I had to have it until I'm already in the industry. Literally, like what I just talked about. And for those of you who can't fucking wrap their heads around what we're talking about, most people will work a job and they receive usually just one W-2. And that W-2 is reported in the IRS, and then the IRS takes out the taxes, yada, 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 boom, ba, bing. At the end of the year, you get your money back. They tell you how much you've been paying to taxes, how much you get back. Boom, you're done. The film industry, it's way different, way different. You are accounting for not only your paychecks, but everything you're spending on, everything you own that has any relevance to what you do as a business, what you do. And I say business because there's some people who don't treat it like a business, and they just treat it like it is a hobby. And to those people, I have no respect for. But to gangsta ass people like Roxy here, fucking, just knows her shit and just understands that you got to report any and all your shit. So people don't teach no one about how to do taxes when you're in the industry, let alone being hair and makeup artist, but I assume like somebody who's a cinematographer is fucking, breaking their back over this shit too, It goes almost every single department, any position. If you are in film at all, you need to have a basic understanding.
Jesus. Hey, listen, I wasn't sure what happened, but it's like the ghost of Christmas past just wanted to fuck your shit up.
Yeah. So command hooks are not the best thing sometimes.
Oh, on drywall? No.
Well, no, it's not. Is that drywall? I don't know. But it's just one of the ones that like you put the tape on and then it sticks to the wall.
Yeah, it works for like a minute, but then it
well.
Yeah, no, you're right, but you got to get the good old fashioned nails,
Yeah, but then I have to commit, and then I have to put holes in the wall, and then I have to pay.
Roxy, like the holes are not even like it's not even. Casey can cover it up before y'all move out. Like that is ridiculous. I hang shit. Like that's why I got my corkboard up there, homie, and I got my whiteboard. I don't want to just use command hooks. Just hope for the best.
To put this up like 2 minutes before we started, so it's like, oh yeah, that's great. So
but hey, listen, I love them. I love those pieces. By the way, we can shout them out if you want. I know we already talked about it, but to people who are watching and listening, hey, 98 people are watching this right now, Roxy. See?
Hi there.
Hello, people of Facebook.
What, last time I think we had like 20 people?
I think like 7, and like 3 of them are like my cousins from Hawaii. It's like, hey, brother.
I say it's because we're actually talking about like the real shit with the business and everything.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and this is something like.
And we got Instagram questions, by the way. We got Instagram questions. We do. So, yeah. We do. But I want to talk about your that the Ghost of Christmas Past knocked that shit off your wall. I want to talk about that.
So speaking of business,
let's get down to business, Roxy. You got a business.
Yeah.
What's your business, lady?
So this does actually, so quick little baby story. Several years ago, I was at a convention called Monsterpalooza, which is all horror film, monsters. It's also kind of like a mecca for makeup artists that do special effects and stuff. It's just that entire community.
Is that your first con? Like your first convention? You've been to other conventions, right? Oh, you haven't?
I think that's actually the only convention I've been to is Monsterpalooza.
Oh, okay. That's like that's like the hair and makeup Comic Con. Like that's like the special effects makeup Comic Con.
Yeah, because like there's a couple of other makeup conventions, but this one is very unique. And that most of the makeup conventions, like you have IMATS, which is really, it's like strictly a makeup artist convention. Sorry, can you hear screaming children in the background? No, they're quiet now.
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Monsterpalooza is great though because it's just kind of an overall love of horror films. So you get kind of a unique meshing of people. But you'll go and there's people like Tom Savini and Rick Baker and Glenn Hendricks just walking around the convention center.
Yes.
Not even doing a demo. They're just also there hanging out, checking shit out. It's amazing. If you're into makeup or effects or just horror films, I highly recommend going. But I went and I was watching a demo by this one girl, and one of her pieces of advice that I thought was so great, and this goes across the board for everyone, is if you can figure out a side hustle that uses the skills that your regular job uses and figure out a way to incorporate that into something else, you will have so much more success. The idea being is it keeps you sharp on your skills, and also, as we've talked about, is you will randomly have downtime in the industry.
It's like creating an entrepreneurship with your skill. Fucking genius. God damn it.
It's such a small thing if you can figure out, because even like realistically, you doing this podcast,
right.
It's that same sort of concept.
It's
still keeping you engaged in what you love and do, but it's a good time fill as well. And hopefully you figure out a way to like monetize it in some way. Like that's the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream. That's truly the dream. I mean, my dream truly is Dan Harmon talked about literally what you just talked about. And it's like his dream, and it's essentially my dream, is to make money being lazy. Like I want to make money doing the shit that I love doing. Now, being on a film set, one might say that's not really lazy. That's just me having fun. That's just me doing what I fucking love doing. And even being a PA, I still enjoy it in some way, shape, or form, even if it's like a really bad commercial I'm a PA for, fetching coffee for somebody. Yeah, I don't give a shit. It's still kind of fun because somebody fucks up or you see something happen that's magical and that's a story you can tell to everybody and shit. It's the best. But like the experiences, for me, I don't know. Like for me, it's I'm all about that moment of like, it's like the moment of clarity, like something just clicks and you're just like, oh fuck, I could do this. Like I can make money doing this. Like I'm actually really good at what I do, and some people just don't have that. Some people just feel like, and some are right, but there's some that are like, like if there's something you feel you can do and you can make money off of it, try to chase after it. Why would you stick with your 9-to-5 job when you can say fuck off to that job and do what you want to do?
Absolutely.
It makes perfect sense to me. So yeah. What were we talking about? We were talking about unions. Yes, your stuff.
Okay. My stuff. So, since I do special effects, one of the things I do is sculpting and making molds and casting. So I decided to take those skills and make these monster wall plaques.
So fucking rad.
And then we got the creature.
And the detail too. How long does it take? Like, how long did it take you to make that creature from Black Lagoon?
So I first started working on these because like this is the original sculpts that I made.
Yeah.
I first actually started working on these like 2 years ago. I just started making them as a practice test for myself.
Yeah.
And then after I was done with them, I was like, this is kind of cool. So then made the mold and all that. It takes about 30 minutes to cast one of each face since I have a mold of each one, so I can work on them at the same time. So about 30 minutes of casting time. Then you have to let them sit for a while. And then probably painting them is like several hours per piece.
That makes sense.
Altogether, it's about a 5-hour process, I'd say, to
wow.
get like 100% done.
Holy shit. That's wonderful though. So you said starting on Monday it could be available for purchase.
Yes.
Where can I purchase such wonderful product?
You can send me a message.
Okay, I'll slide in your DMs, but like okay. So that's just how it's just going to be right now? Okay.
Eventually I might start selling on Etsy as well. The big disadvantage with Etsy is that they do take a percentage off the top of your sales. Etsy also has started doing a couple of weird rules, like you don't get to choose if your work is included in one of their advertisements. Or I think like if your account is size, you can opt out of being included in ads. So if Etsy features your work, like you know how on Facebook ads, like sometimes you'll have like a thing from like Etsy and it's like 20 different images you can click through.
Yeah.
So it'll randomly choose to include your work on there, which is great because they're promoting you. If someone clicks through to yours, if at any point in the next month they go back to your page and buy anything from your shop, Etsy does another fee on top of the percentage that they take.
You're serious? No, come on. That's too much skimming. That's too much skimming.
I want to say I saw something by the end, they're taking something like 20% of the sale. Which for a lot of people, most of the time they kind of work out what.
So the content creators are not even making money.
Yeah.
How
much your materials are, then how much your hours are, and then you're typically only actually upcharging maybe 20% from that total cost. So if Etsy's taking that 20% for them,
right?
People that are making these products, most of the time they're actually only making a small amount on top.
Yeah, so that's barely a profit.
Yeah. So for now, I'm just kind of doing direct sales where you hit me up, you give me your mailing address info, and then I send you an invoice, and you can either PayPal or Venmo me. And
that is rad.
Yeah. Hopefully it works.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to do other characters? You've done Frankenstein. You did Creature from Black Lagoon. What's next of the creature features?
The next two I want to do. Right now, like I've done these two, and I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes before I reinvest my time and money into making more. But I want to do.
I'm throwing my money at the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like that's truly remarkable, but it's one of my favorite Universal monsters. Nothing against Frankenstein. I love Frankenstein's monster. I love it, but
everybody loves the creature. Like I thought Frankenstein was going to be like a really popular one.
Mm-hmm.
No, everyone's been like, I want the creature.
Yeah, the creature is great, but
gonna have to kick up in production.
Yeah, like if you could do like I would throw my money at a Dracula too. If you can get a Dracula, dude.
Dracula might do. The next two I want to do is a Bride of Frankenstein, so that you could have like a matching set.
Yes, dude. Okay, that's even more dope.
I want to do also the Invisible Man.
Invisible Man would be rad.
Plain black plank, though. I swear.
It's just a frame, and then it's like, I'm gonna charge $75 for this bitch. It's like I can't even see it exactly.
I came up with that, and I was like, I could be this asshole. Like if these do well, and tease that as being the Invisible Man. It's like, no, I know me. I'm gonna fucking spend way too much time figuring something out and sculpting something.
Yeah, it's like the art. Who's the artist who made the like literally painted nothing on the blank canvas and just like fucking like made like $20 million?
Makes me so angry. Okay, a quick story.
And they're like, I see absence of youth in purity and in emotion. You just some bullshit.
In high school for my birthday, my parents took me to a museum in Dallas, and they had gotten like, I think the Met in New York was like doing renovations, so they had taken some of their biggest, like best known pieces, and were doing a countrywide tour of them. So we go, and there's like Monet's painting and Van Gogh's, Salvador Dali's, like all these.
Oh, so classics. Okay. For some reason I thought it was like modern art or something. Yeah. Okay.
Where like you kind of like, the idea was you were almost like getting a taste of the Met, like all their different exhibits.
I see. Okay.
You kind of go room to room, and each room has a different sort of like theme and like base to it.
Yeah.
So all the way through amazing, beautiful paintings. Then we get to the very last room, which is modern art. I was so fucking mad.
It's just like a chair with a microphone dangling over it and shit.
I walked in, and to my right of the door was a white canvas painted white called the Red Bird.
Red Bird. And you see the red bird, don't you? If you pay attention close enough and you close your eyes and you imagine.
To my left was another white canvas painted white called the Twin.
All right, now you're fucking with me. Are you serious?
100% serious. So I was already mad about two white canvases painted. So then I walk in, kind of like befuddled, trying to like figure everything out. Then I got yelled at by a security guard because I had not realized that the 10 copper tiles in the center of the room on the floor were an art installation, and I was walking on the art.
Are you fucking kidding? They didn't even section it off? Like, they didn't even, like, put ropes or anything?
If they had, I didn't see them.
Well, yeah, and also, if anybody knows us in real life, we're two oblivious people, but I find that hilarious. Like, you didn't even walk 3 feet inside the modern art exhibit, and you already got furious.
I was so angry. And this was me at, like, 15. Already full of, like, teenage rage.
It's like you see the garbage receptacle, and you're like, this is art. Right? Yeah. You know, like, this, you bastards.
Well, I took a Coke can and I set it on top of the trash can instead of in the trash can.
Whoa.
Art.
And that's the I believe that's the subtext of the the class division of our world, the trash lower class and the 2% on top,
The symbology.
Some symbolism, the symbology. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Listen. We're artists ourselves. Okay, we're very much in the industry of creativeness, right? But you gotta admit, you walk into a room and there's 2 canvases that is a red bird painted white. A blank white canvas and twins on the opposite side.
I held on to my anger over this art exhibit.
Oh.
But I held on to it so much that in college, I wrote a paper in one of my writing classes about how modern art was not art. That's
Did
how
you really?
angry I was. Yes, and I got an A on that paper.
You did? Oh, wow. I was going to say, did you get like a professor who's like, I think your taste in this opinion of the matter is ridiculous, and I'm giving you a D?
No, because it was a writing class. So
I see. Okay.
As long as it was written well and thoroughly. And
so no matter the subject, if it's written well.
Mm-hmm. And most of the time, like, you could turn in like a couple of drafts of it. They'd give you notes, and then, or like you could turn in your paper, you'd get a grade, if you weren't happy with your grade, you could resubmit it based off of their notes. That was the one time I turned up my paper in and I got like a 90-something on the first draft. And I was like, done.
Because you just went popping off on a modern art.
And I had so many thought through arguments, and it was so well written.
I'm telling you, like, if I need a debate team, I'm gonna put you in, like, I'm gonna make you like my Peyton Manning of of debaters. Like, I'm just gonna put you right in the first string, man. You know, it's like
I think both of us missed our calling to be filibusters in politics. We would rock that out.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the difference between you and I, though, Roxy. Yours, how you explain things is almost like an educational service. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you learn a thing or two. It's like, oh shit, I didn't know that, you know? But when you have a conversation with me and I just go popping off on something, it's like, I guess this guy is upset about Rocky 3. I don't know why. Like, you don't get it. Mr. T doesn't make sense. Like, I just go popping off, dude. I just go mad. Well, you provide an education and you're like, here's why this is bad. You know, here's why modern art sucks. Here's why people think they love modern art, you know, and this is why they're dumb. For me, it's just like, you know, like like my philosophy behind Pineapple Express, you know, it's just like Pineapple Express is my Citizen Kane.
So all right, confession real quick.
Sure.
I hate Pineapple Express.
Hey, you know what? And that's fine. That's fine. Because let me tell you something. Pineapple Express should be a hated movie. It should be. Yes, it should be. Because Pineapple Express is one of those movies that it only caters to one thing. Stoners. People like me. It only caters to people like me who will sit through a movie and watch. And it just like shoots on every trope of stoners and stoner movies and how, like, you know, bad guys, you know, almost win, but then the good guy wins in the end and stuff like that. So like turns into like this weird buddy cop movie, you know, between Seth Rogen and James Franco. But all in all, yeah, it's not a good.
But here's
the thing. You don't watch Sharknado because it's a masterpiece, right? You don't go to Taco Bell because you want authentic Mexican food, right? You don't. You get what I mean, though, right?
But I know so many people that they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so funny! It's one of the funniest movies." That aren't even stoners, though. So I went into this movie being like, "Oh, this is gonna be really good, really funny," and the whole time I was like, "This isn't that funny to me."
Yeah, well, because the humor it caters to that, you know, and to Seth Rogen, like he makes that comment too. He's like, it's not for non-stoners. It's for the people who are stoners, or they just like to make fun of that culture, or just understand that culture is just ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie, it is. It is. There's a lot of people who are just like, yo, you are on another level. You think I smoke a lot, Roxy? Let me tell you something. There's people who smoke more than their own body weight.
No, that's too much.
There's people who are just like, they'll smoke like 3 grams a day. And it's just like, how do you do that? And for those of you who don't know, that's like about like that's like a pack of cigarettes that are joints. Like that's a lot. That's a lot. It's a lot. You're blasting off. Like I'm, you know, you
How
can
you function with that much? Like, or is that the
very easily, but really? You know, yeah. But again, it comes to tolerance, right? It comes to how often you do it. This is now becoming like a weed show. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We won't have to dive into this topic of fucking discussion.
Welcome to the Adam and Roxy show. We talk movies. We talk in depth. We talk weed.
We talk weed. You know, most important. It's important. You know, it gets you. It gets your creative. You get your creative mind flowing. It gets you a little bit more open. It makes you appreciate things so much more. Sometimes you just like text like, maybe like, Like, I'm not going to lie. This quarantine has got me good. It's got me good. But it has also gave me the ability to not right my wrongs, but acknowledge my wrongs. You know what I mean? Like, the amount of times I fucked up, I can just, like, kind of sit back and understand, like, oh, yeah, I probably wasn't good around that time. Or like, I was probably like an asshole. It's like, I probably shouldn't have made fun of her for for never watching, Iron Man, or never seen Star Wars. You probably shouldn't make fun of people who never seen Star Wars. Come on. But man, back.
Star Wars.
Listen, Roxy, 19-year-old Adam, he would agree with you right now. He would agree with you. He'd be like, yeah, you agree. You get it. Fucking people need to see Star Wars, people. And I went as far as like getting myself a fucking tattoo, but there's people who just never seen Star Wars. And I just have to understand those people are psychopaths. No, I'm kidding. They're not psychopaths. They're perfectly fine people. And sometimes, some people just never seen Star Wars, Roxy, and sometimes the people just want to watch the world burn,
Fair.
That's all I have to say. But I don't argue people anymore who have never seen Star Wars. I used to, though. I used to get into major...
Right there and make them watch it.
Yeah, I used to get into heavy, like, film... arguments, but I only get in those arguments to people who actually work in the industry, like people who enjoy movies, who respect the art of cinema, like you do. You respect the art of cinema. You love film and television just as much as any other bloke, but there's a respect level to it, and I feel like not a lot of people understand that. And I was having this conversation with my mom not too long ago, actually, and then we'll get back into hair and makeup stuff. I'm sorry, but this is my first digress. Okay, it's the fact that like people judge only by what they see, and there's nothing particularly wrong with that. But when you make your first movie or you're on a film set, your very first set, you quickly realize making movies really fucking hard. It is super fucking hard. So yeah, you can take a movie like Sharknado and say, wow, that movie is a hot pile of garbage. People can say that. We also got to understand, making that shit, you had to put in effort. Imagine that. 30 days of making Sharknado. Imagine. Every day you wake up, your call time, you have to show up and you have to make a fucking flying shark movie, And you just had to, that's a normal work day. And you learn to deal with it. They're not, they understand what they're getting themselves into. They're not a bunch of idiots.
We've told you stories from when me, Christine, and Kelly worked on Terror Birds, right?
So it's great. You know what, Kelly? Kelly, why did I call you Kelly? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That was bad. That was really bad. But I'll redeem myself because you just gave a great segue, Roxy, into what I wanted to discuss, which is short films. So yeah. Terror Birds. What about Terror Birds? That is wild.
So Terror Birds wasn't a short film. It was a feature film that we did.
Feature. Okay.
And it was just that thing like, it is about prehistoric birds that are called terror birds. They are real creatures that used to exist, just like, and teenagers that stumble across them, and the like running around through the forest massacre that happens. And it's ridiculous. And it was just one of those films where like you said, like every day showing up, it's like, all right, so today the terror bird rips someone's head off. So let's all press. Cool. So today, the terror bird's chasing the 5 kids through the field, and then they got to run up the trees and take cover when the bird's going to grab someone's leg and like rip a chunk out of it when they're up in the tree. It's ridiculous and insane.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's an actual work day. That's a work day. Yeah.
It's so insane. And we were shooting this in the middle of Texas. during, I think, August or September, hottest part of the year, outside, miserably hot and humid.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stories from that set. Because
from Terror Birds, or what do you mean?
Terror Birds,
yeah.
Because I was the makeup department head. Christine was the first AD, and Kellie, I think she was a PA, but I think she did like start dabbling in some of the art department stuff on that one as well.
Right.
Because that's one where I got hired on first, and then when they needed recommendations, because most of the production team was from out of state, when they needed recommendations for like an AD and stuff, I referred Christine, and then Christine brought on Kellie.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Which, by the way, this is why it's really important to network and get to know people on set, because we all bring each other on. Your little gem of wisdom for those new to film.
It's so important to network, and I wrote Terror Birds down, so because this is actually important to talk about. I'm actually serious. Networking is very important in the film industry, but not only just networking, understanding to empower each other, to bring each other up, and to understand that egos, it just can't be a thing. You know, it just like you're immediately humbled when you're on a film set, regardless if you like it or not. Mistakes happen, and you just learn to live with those mistakes. But the most important thing about filmmaking that I've learned, and I didn't know, was that there's so much more respect for people who empower each other rather than the people who only look out for themselves and only get the jobs for themselves. Because I noticed that the people, even if it's like stupid PA jobs that other people probably won't take, it's still nice to offer it. If you can't take it, it's like, hey man, I can't make it this day, but I know if you need extra cash, like this is, $100, whatever, go for it, and sometimes they just won't accept it. But that's the point. That's the whole point of networking and sharing each other's interaction. I feel like a lot of us do have that, but I bet you there's a ton of fucking people in Los Angeles who don't do that. And there's probably a ton of people here in Austin who just will never network and just won't talk to people. And they're just sort of the lone wolves. There's nothing wrong with that, but I truly don't feel like you get a lot of shit done doing that.
It's a lot harder to go that way, because most of the time, like, your skill's going to get you so far. It is a lot of who you know and who likes being around you. Because when you're working for 12 plus hours a day, overnight, in terrible conditions, yes, you want to know the person that you're there working with is good at their job and they're going to do their job. But realistically, there's a certain point where it's like, there's going to be 5 people that are all just as good, that are all going to deliver on what the job requires. But you want to be there with someone that you know is going to support you, someone that you know you're going to get along with, someone you know that's not going to bring in a bunch of baggage and attitude with them. So that's where networking, but networking in a genuine way, matters. Because you also meet people that like, you can tell as soon as you meet them, they're like, hi, I'm so-and-so, I do this. Oh my God, you worked on that project? That's amazing. We should totally work together more. Look, what's your information? I heard about this project. I think that'd be so great. I think I would fit it in this many ways. Those are people they're networking in a very artificial way. They don't actually care about the people they're with. They don't care about making genuine bonds. They care about getting ahead. No one wants to be around the person, because that's also typically the person that's going to throw you under the bus in the first chance they get.
You're right.
Much more important to be around people that are like, hey, I heard you worked on this project a while back. That was amazing. This work was really great. How was that? Did you like it, or what did you learn? Like, having true, genuine conversations will get you so much further.
And you're so right. I will rephrase what I say. It is different, because artificial. No, I'm serious. Like, artificial networking is probably the most gross way of not just networking, but just meeting people. You know what I mean? Just interacting with a human being. It's like talking to a robot. It's like, I don't want to fucking talk to you right now. You know, it's just like even if they're hot, it doesn't matter. Like you don't want to deal with it. It's just like, yikes. It's like they're great to look at, but then once you start having a conversation with them, man, that sounds so mean. I'm sorry. I don't mean it that way, but like, yeah, like, listen, like I know all of you sons of bitches. I know all you people. I know all you people at one point have seen an attractive person, walked up to them and started talking to them, immediately regret talking to them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can't tell me you never had that.
Oh no, 100%. Like everyone has.
You just do it and you're like, oh, I can't have a conversation with you. So I'm good.
Behind the eyes. Gotcha. Cool. Taking that as my cue to leave.
I gotta go. And there's some guys, and I bet some women, but there's a lot of guys who just don't take that as a red flag. They're just like, okay, you know, it's like, I'm just gonna still chase after that shit. Hashtag me too. But to go back to the shorts for Terror Birds, you were talking about how so this was a feature. Was there a lot of people on this crew? Was it just yeah? Okay.
Because it was like I don't remember the budget or anything, but it's like kind of on the scale of like a Lifetime channel movie would be. Mm. So it was like kind of made for TV sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Like the best case scenario for that film would have been if they had been able to sell it to like Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. I don't think they ended up getting any sort of distribution deals like that. I think it ended up just being like a direct to download off of Amazon Prime sort of thing.
Nice. There's actually was there anything more on Terror Birds you wanted to talk about? Because there was another short film I wanted to jump to talk about.
Let's jump to
it. There was one BTS that came out that got a shit ton of traction on the Get Reelisms Instagram, and it sparked a major, not a major. let me rephrase that. It got the most traffic it's seen in terms of view counts with BTS of Shakespeare on the Range. I wanted to specifically this squib scene between that you set up for. It was like a exchange and gunfire. Yeah, it was an exchange and gunfire flashback. Yeah.
Oh my god,
that looked like a very fun fucking day.
That day was one of.
There was one comment someone made, and it said, "Hey, you're gonna absolutely love this."
Oh god.
There's one comment. It was like, whoever the hair and makeup lady doing the special effects looks absolutely exhausted.
That one of the most stressful days of my life.
Oh, that's great.
So
you do look like you were in a zone. Oh. You weren't paying attention to nothing to no one.
I also remember like looking back, like I said, this was one of the most stressful days of my life. I was so run down. So Shakespeare on the Range, let's back up a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
Projects where when I think back on it, I don't know how the fuck we pulled it off to the extent that we did, and we should not have been able to have done what we did.
Because it's one of my favorite shorts, and it's not only shot beautifully, but it was shot like as if like you're filming like a pilot or something, like a high budget pilot. And I don't know, it was shot beautifully. The story was excellent. The action, the firefight scene, oh man, the flashback, like it was great. Like it was shot wonderfully.
Was so little, truthfully. Because truly. I think like the total budget might have been $5,000. I think I could be wrong on that, but I know we made it. It was made for next to nothing. Because year before from LA Film Prize, Christine had got one of like their filmmaker grants, so I think she was like had $5,000 to work with from them. and then she might have spent some over that.
Yeah.
It was mostly volunteer work for all of us, in that we all just showed up, contributed our time, and didn't get paid. But so it was
a crazy ass experience, though.
Crazy ass experience. I want to say like the main crew, we had maybe less than 10 people behind the scenes. And like our first day, we show up at a prison. We have to figure out how to make everything work. We were doing everything. We had like something like, God, like 20 background actors show up. I was the hair and makeup person, special effects person, and I didn't have any actual makeup assistants either. We just had our couple of PAs. And basically it was a thing where Christine was like, okay, Roxy, here's 2 PAs. Tell them what you need them to do.
Yeah.
And started slapping tattoos on everybody. Like,
that's right.
When I need to take control of a situation, because
you even dress Anton in tattoos on his face.
Yeah.
He look like straight up thug.
Since I'm a very tiny person, I get lost in the room easily.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point, I remember I stood on a table and started to yell out things to people. I was like, if you have lines at any point in the film, I want you to stand over here. If you do not have lines and are therefore a background actor, I want you to form a line over there. And just
there's like a couple of people on that set who are like, who's saying that? So fucking rude.
We just had to do what we had to do and just start slapping tattoos on people.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to the blood gag day, I think it was like 3 or 4 days in. We'd already been doing 12-hour days. It was exhausting work. A lot of times we were in locations.
And it's Shreveport, Louisiana, which is hot.
Oh,
real hot. Yeah.
So we get to the blood gag day, and we are shooting like 4 or 5 different flashbacks in 4 or 5 different locations.
That's right. Oh, man.
Each one had like, I think the smallest scene had like 4 actors. Most of them had more. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4 different blood gags that day.
Shit.
And I was doing it with no one that was experienced working with blood gags or makeup. So that is why in that video, I look like living in death and like I'm about to slap somebody. Because I do remember, and I do apologize to him now, Mateus, who was shooting the BTS footage, who was also our AD.
Yeah.
At one point, I know I like ripped into him. Because I was trying to make these blood gags like in the alleyway. I'm literally pouring blood into bags and twisting, attaching them to tubes. And he comes over with his camera and starts sticking it like right into what I was doing and asking me questions. And so I know at one point I was like, dude, you need to get the camera out. He was like, well, no, but this is cool. It's cool. It's like, I don't care. I don't want this on camera. These are trade secrets or some bullshit like that. I don't want it out there how to do this. I don't want to talk right now. Let me do my job. Get your camera out of here.
Yeah.
So Renda, don't have it in me right now to have this conversation.
And for those of you who don't understand, to have a camera shoved in your face at a very stressful situation, like dealing with squibs and blood. By the way, blood is not like something like you like you drop like some crumbs like on your shirt. It's not like something you can just dust off. That's just not. It's so intricate and so. If you get blood everywhere, it's like mess. It's hard to fucking clean. You can't, So the reason why I say this is because I've also got I didn't do hair and makeup or anything like that crazy, but doing a short film, and we talked about this a few episodes ago. Christine was doing BTS for a short film that I worked on with a buddy of mine. She wrote, directed, and starred in her short film, and we filmed at the Buggy Barn. And Roxy, let me tell you something. I love Christine. I love Christine. She's my mentor. She's taught me so much. She's brought me through the thick and thin of filmmaking and really taught me the true value of filmmaking. That day when Christine just decided to shove a camera in my face after making a really dumb mistake, and here's what the dumb mistake was. When I was going into the Buggy Barn, and a lot of people don't know, the Buggy Barn is located in Blanco, Texas. Shout out to Buggy Barn. Amanda running that shit. Homie, she's truly dope. There was a day where we were shooting where there was a bunch of horses and stuff, and we were shooting in this creek area. And there's a ditch where there's a gate where you open and the horses can go in and out if you need train it, but if you let the gate out, it goes into a path onto the street. Now the street is really far fucking away, so the horses would have to fucking run. So, oh man, it makes me so upset even saying this. But I was going down and I opened the gate. There was someone else behind me, and I couldn't make out who it was, but I had assumed it was someone who was working at the Buggy Barn because I recognized some people working there. And the guy just literally waved me on. He was in the driver's seat, and I got out, and I was going to close the gate behind me, and he was just kept waving me on, just go. I'm like, okay. So I went, and I got all the way to the end of the creek, which, by the way, is half a mile. It's really fucking far. The gate's wide fucking open, and all of the horses just fucking decided to go.
Oh, God.
The horses are fine. Everything is fine.
Great.
Everything's good. Now, that being said, I shitting purple bricks. I'm just shitting purple bricks right now, okay? And I ran. I drove my car, and by the way, half of the crew were also running as well to help me out trying to gather the horses. Now, I'm a city kid. I came from Oakland, California, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Do you think I'd be running around with some motherfucking horses?
Oh my God, I love it.
So, I'm shitting purple bricks. I don't know what's going on. I'm shaking. And I had to explain. I had to explain to Paula, who is an absolute G. She's also runs the Buggy Barn. I had to explain to her, I am so sorry. And she was like, no, the horses were fine. We got the horses back. It's all good. Thank God we did. But I was in sheer panic. You wouldn't believe. It was a good solid 2 minutes of just sheer panic. Just me just shitting myself. And I got all the way back to the creek. All is said and done. Christine shoves a camera in my face and she's like, so you let a whole bunch of horses out. How do you feel right now?
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad day. It was a bad day. It was such a bad day. And I was like, Christine, my face was red. I'm like, Christine, I'm fighting every bone in my body not to fucking pop off right now. So I think I'm going to walk away and shove a donut in my face and calm down.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Because at that moment, Fat Adam came back up and he was like, you got to eat some feelings, my man. Get some donuts. You're feeling all the feelings. He's like, you got to go.
Oh. That is.
It's better to stuff your face with food and just breathe and relax than to just pop off on somebody.
Because here's the thing, though. The days that people want to film BTS footage are when there's crazy things that are happening. The crazier something is, the more stressful it is.
Yeah.
But it's also always it's the coolest looking things.
It is.
So cool.
It is cool.
To use
and that flashback scene in Shakespeare, man, was just so fucking rad. It was like it was a firefight that looked professional. It looked like you guys rehearsed it for months, even though it was literally minutes.
I don't know how we pulled that off.
I do not know how you guys pulled it off, but it looks phenomenal. Truly. And I'm not even making that shit up. Like it truly looks really fucking good, but you guys did it in such an impromptu way, you know?
So we did that one that day, and then we still had to go to another location after that and do a blood gag.
Another blood gag. Because you already one day wasn't fucking excruciating enough. Let's do another day, Roxy.
Or no, this was the same day.
Oh, the same day? Oh, man, dude. So let's just... Wait, so hang on. How much of a nightmare was the costume department dealing with all the blood?
I don't know. I don't think it was too terribly bad. Like, it was a lot.
So did somebody was somebody on standby with a Tide to go washing them clothes and shit?
It planned it
at
out
a laundromat.
Of okay, how many of the same shirts can we do?
Right.
And it was basically we could do as many takes as we had shirts.
Uh-huh.
And so I think we ended up doing for each blood gag, we did in that alleyway, I think we did 3 or 4 takes.
Oh, okay.
Because if it's possible, you always want to get multiples of it. That way, if something goes wrong, because inevitably something will go wrong, you have more that you can do. So I think with most of them, we would do one, and it's okay, that didn't work for X, Y, and Z reasons.
Yeah.
No, we didn't like how it came out. The timing was weird. Let's do it again. So typically, by the third one, it worked well enough. It's okay, that works. How are we on time? Do we have another shirt? All right, let's just go ahead really quickly, switch it out, and do it one more time for safety.
Right.
So, yeah, wardrobe was great. God, I can't remember the name of the girl that was doing, because we had one person that was there on set doing wardrobe, one person that had kind of sourced all the wardrobe stuff beforehand.
Oh, nice.
And the girl that has sourced everything, for one of the guys in the flashback, he was wearing this kind of cool graphic shirt.
Yeah.
And it was an actually vintage shirt. She actually hand drew copies of this shirt. I feel so bad for not remembering her name.
Yeah, but shout out to her. Holy shit.
Shout out to her, because it was phenomenal, especially because to make the blood gag work, it's not just you rig it up, you shoot. You actually have to cut into the fabric first and lightly glue it closed so that when you press the trigger, the pressure from the actual blood gag blows the fabric so it looks like there was an impact.
Oh my God. And it looks so good too. But you were just right below frame, just, right?
So
yeah, well, some of them, yeah.
The squibs that we were doing, and all of them right out of frame, because we were using CO2 squibs, which is where literally it's basically a long plastic tube that attaches to a little bundle of blood. And then you have a bicycle pump almost connected to the end of the tube that has a CO2 cartridge. So you pull the trigger on the bicycle pump, it releases the CO2 through the tube, gets to your little bundle of blood, and it blows it out. So depending on the scenario and what you have determines how far away or how close you can be. If you're doing true kind of pyrotechnic squibs, which I do not do, because it involves actual explosions, and hell to the no, I'm not risking that shit. That's where you can actually have someone, 30 feet away with a remote control pressing a button. Right.
It's a remote squib.
So
shout out to the costume and wardrobe department via IMDb, Denise Hudo and Carol Hall. Y'all are a bunch of gangsters. Hell yeah, dude. That's
you kill it.
Hashtag dad.
Fuck yeah.
I just imagine Hank Hill from King of the Hill just cracking a beer. Goddamn, Bobby.
That's what I'm here for. All about the King of the Hill jokes.
I mean, I don't know if it's the fact that you're from Texas. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? But Roxy, we've been doing this for an hour and a half.
Oh damn.
We have. So I think it's time to take this bad boy in for a landing. You want to answer some Instagram questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's, well, the first step is to not close out the Instagram tab.
Small detail.
My head's not screwed on properly. I fucking lose it. Jesus Christ.
While you're pulling that back up.
Yeah.
So the blood gag day. So like I said, we had to go back to a different location entirely, shoot another blood gag where it was a woman getting shot in the chest in the house. Mm-hmm. So that was all the same day.
God.
And that was our last shot of the day. We did it once. It didn't work super well. And it was a thing, like, I remember it was like me, Kelly, Christine, and our DP all standing around. And they were like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, we could do it in post, you know, and I like basically had to like plead with them. I was like, let me do it again. I was like, I know what I did. I can fix this. I'm pretty sure I know what I did. Let me try this one more time. I think I can make it work. And had to like kind of negotiate for another chance to do it because everyone was so tired. I think that day we did over 12 hours. It was such a long day. And we did it and it worked out great. Other than the problem was, because most locations don't want you to have blood everywhere for natural reasons. So we put underneath where the woman was standing. We shot up the blood. And it was a thing where it was like, my logic was, because we hadn't had enough blood the first time, I was like, I'm going to keep pushing blood until I hear the word cut. Like, there's no, like, hesitation. We're going to keep going and going and going. So shot happens. She reacts. She slams against the wall, then like slides downwards out of frame. When she slid downwards, she moved the tarp with her legs to expose the floor.
Oh, shit.
And of course, it's the one section of floor that had been
so cleaned and polished.
It wasn't polished. It was raw wood. It had been replaced at some point.
Oh.
If it was polished, it would have been better because you could have wiped it up easier.
Yeah.
If it was raw wood, it absorbed everything.
Shit.
So me, Kelly, and Christine then like we were like, this is fine. This is fine. Here, go into the bedroom. You go change. And the three of us are frantically cleaning this floor. And just
it was like all hands on deck. Like it was like if you guys wasted another second, it would have been doomed, you know?
And like we were doing like paper towels, the weirdest trick with blood to get it to like pull up.
Yeah.
Cheap shaving cream.
Really?
It's something about like
a Barbasol can and just fucking go to town? Shit.
That'll work on skin and everything. Like if you ever get the red stain, use that to help absorb it. And literally like if you have like a blood patch of stain, you can put like a dollop on it and you'll just start to see the red like move up into the foam. It's crazy. It's really cool.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, this is why Roxy teaches and I'm just like, listen, people are stupid. I think you should be the new host of the show.
No. We balance each other.
That's true. That's true.
We frantically cleaned up, and it was at that point, like, the three of us were saying, like, I think we got it all. You can still kind of see, but I don't, and someone, like, walked by, and they're like, you guys are, yeah, you're fine. No one's going to fucking notice that at this point. But we were like, so, like, at every stain. So yeah. We were dead tired. And it was a thing, like, because we were all so tired when the blood gag happened the second time, everyone was like, we got it, great, go home. So in my head, I was like, no one's happy about it. It didn't work right. They're still not happy. So I just remember driving back to the house where we were all staying at, pulling up in front of the house, parking, and then sitting and crying in my car for, like, 30 minutes. Because it was that thing of, like, just pure exhaustion and the adrenaline kicking in and my body just going, like, we're done.
Yeah. Dude, I've oh man.
In films until you've sat in your car crying at the end of the day.
And I was trying to think, I'm like, I know it's more than once I've done that on a film set. I know it's more than once. And I think it was like right before I even started driving home. It was like, all right, guys, call it wrap. Yay, everyone's done. Okay, all right, yeah. And then I'm just like trudging along with my toolkit, dragging myself, getting inside the car, taking one deep breath, and I just fucking crack, dude. I just like
it is a
rite
of passage. Crying in your car from a production is a rite of passage.
I've cried in my car many times. Drive-thrus. I have a great drive-through crying story for sure. But yeah, no, you're right. It's a rite of passage. Like if you worked in film and you just worked those long 13-hour days and you think like you're trying to get something right, but you just don't quite get the reaction you want from the person you want, and then it just becomes shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you just sit there and you just sulk in the madness. And then you just get inside, and I just get inside my car, and I'm just like, I think my career is over.
Yep.
I think I'm just gonna hang my hat here now.
Get into filmmaking, guys. It's great. It's totally fun. You're not gonna have Yes, you are. You will,
but that's see, and there's a thing of like why unions are the way they are and why filmmaking is the way it is. If you can hang, filmmaking's for you. If you can't hang, if you just get to the point where you break down and you just cannot stand it, it's almost like life shattering to you. Because to us, we just the next day we grab a fresh pair of undies and we repeat the same old fucking day again.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we just because we do it because we love it. We don't do it because we're masochists. We just want to fucking torture ourselves. We're not that. We're not fucking psycho. Well, hang on. Maybe some people. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe some people. But I do it because I love making all this shit with friends, you know, with people who also enjoy this shit, like you and Kelly, Christine, so many others as well. And they are in it not because, you know, well, it's just a paycheck or, you know, it's something to get me by, or it's like a hobby. No, this is our fucking lives and we love it. This is the filmmaking passion that we have. So the reason why we
paycheck.
Yes. But also, yes. But we also sit there, and the reason why is because we love it. We don't sit there and cry and, you know, beat our fists to the steering wheel because, you know, we think, you know, filmmaking's okay. No, we fucking love it. Like it's our absolute passion. You're a filmmaker. I'm a filmmaker. We're all filmmakers, you know, and we all just generally want to make dope ass art. And sometimes it's just going to beat the shit out of you.
100%.
And it's up to you if you're willing to wake up the next day and do it all over again.
Welcome to the film industry, kids.
Welcome to the film industry. By the way, if you do what you love, you wouldn't, is it you wouldn't work a day in your life? No, that doesn't make, yeah. Is it? If you do what you love, you wouldn't work it, yeah.
You'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever the fuck that means, but I just know I love what I do. And it's absolutely fun. And there's a lot of people who are like, fuck this, a film set is not for me. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Maybe post-production's for you, or maybe pre-production's for you. Who knows? Either way, still important. Whether you're doing principal photography, post, or pre, doesn't matter. It's a lot of fucking work. Respect your filmmakers. Yeah, just don't be an asshole. You know? Let's get into... Did I ask the first question?
No.
Okay. All right. We're now we're an hour, 45 minutes, almost a 2-hour podcast.
Get around, you guys.
Listen, guys, it is what it is. This is a free podcast. We're giving you free education, and we're broadcasting this, okay? This is amazing education. So if anybody is in the film industry or in a creative industry thinking about joining a union, This is fantastic information for you. You don't need to be a hair and makeup to know how to rock. You just need to have that, fucking good old passion, energy, and God. I'm kidding.
What's the question? To the question, sir.
All right, we got a question from Heather. She wants to ask, actually, it ties in perfectly. We sort of answered this, I guess. Do you need education in order to work hair and makeup, Roxy?
No. Yes, you have to figure out what's best for you. Because there's some people that they need someone to tell them, like, this is the steps, this is the order, this is how you get this effect. Mm-hmm. Other people are better at learning by doing. So you really have to kind of figure out what kind of a person you are and what's going to kind of benefit you. The other thing I will say, that's the biggest thing that I've gotten from friends that have gone to makeup schools, because there are programs you can go to specifically to learn makeup. Tom Savini, he has a school, I believe it's in Pittsburgh.
Does he really? That's dope.
There's the Tom Savini School of Special Effects Makeup.
Hell yeah.
There's Cinema Makeup School in LA. There's Mud Makeup School. IE is another one. So there's a lot of different programs you can go to. And they're going to teach you a lot of things. And the biggest thing from friends that have gone to them have been the fact that you walk out of them with a lot of people that you know and with a lot of connections. And as we talked about earlier, having a network and having connections can really, really, really help you.
Not artificially. But yes.
Connections, which I feel like a lot of you do when you go to school with people, you form those deeper bonds. Right. The other thing I would say is, if you can have an idea of what you want to do with hair and makeup, that'll benefit you so much more in deciding on which program's the best for you and if school is the best for you. If you know you love doing hair and that's what you want to focus in on, don't go to one of those makeup schools I mentioned. Hair is going to be a very small part of them. You'll be much better off going and getting a cosmetology license. Because also, let's say you love doing hair, you want to do hair, you want to join the film union, and you want to be a hairstylist specifically. You are required to have a cosmetology license to do hairstyling. Right. One of the interesting things that we didn't talk about earlier when we talked about unions was the fact that the local 706 in LA, it is the hairstylist and makeup artist union. It's one union for the two positions. However, you do not do both when you're in the union. You do one or the other because they are two completely separate jobs. Realistic, on most film sets, they should always be two separate jobs. In indie low-budget world, there's not the money to do two positions typically. So one person will do both. I know for myself, I always tell people I'm a makeup artist that can do some basic hairstyling. So you'll notice a lot of times if I am the hair and makeup artist, the makeup stuff is great. The hairstyles tend to be very simple. Yeah. Because I don't have the time to do elaborate makeup and elaborate hair. So that's why
sometimes independent shoots can only afford one at a time. So you just sort of have to which one would you rather have? Would you want a leniency on hair? Would you rather have a leniency on makeup? Yeah, it all depends.
So you can go the way of going to school. And like I said, just think through what you want to do ultimately and what you want to kind of focus in on. That'll help you decide on a program. The other thing is, depending on where you live, the best thing for you to do might just be to kind of learn by doing. Like if you can't afford to go to a makeup school and you can't afford to move out of state, depending on where you live, unfortunately there won't be a lot of options in a lot of places on going and getting a education on makeup. The best, I learned by working in a makeup store doing retail makeup and then on the side going and working productions. And that's how I learned.
Right. Just building that experience, starting from nothing, and then each set, you just get that much better each and every time. It's the best way you can do it. Great question. Great answer, too, Roxy.
Thank you. I like the question.
Okay, next question is, Now in a COVID world, how have you been practicing safety doing hair and makeup wait, how are you practicing safety doing hair and makeup / makeup?
Okay.
Yeah. So do with that what you will.
So naturally with COVID, it's changing across the board. For every department, there's new rules, there's new regulations. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, and also sound are actually the 3 departments that are kind of directly having to be the most, and talent having to do the most in harm's way. Because unfortunately for all those positions, there's really no way of maintaining social distance. It's also a thing, we're working directly with talent, which is going to be the most vulnerable, and typically they can't always be wearing masks when we're working around them. I can't do makeup on someone's face if they're wearing a mask, so they have to take that off.
Yeah.
There are a lot of rules and things that are being figured out. We are still kind of in that weird period where we're starting to work, but kind of, sort of, only a little bit. So I think we are at a point where things are evolving. The biggest things are just basic sanitation. If something has been used on someone, it doesn't get used on anyone else until it's
throw it out. Yeah.
Like disposables, trash them. They are one-time use. Make sure you are depotting any product that you can from the container. So like if you're putting lipstick on someone, do not take that lipstick and put it directly on their lips and then use it for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Best thing you can do is take that lipstick, scrape it onto a palette, then take your lip brush, work off of the palette, and then apply it to that actor. That way you don't have that cross-contamination. Gloves, hand sanitizer, and also the other big thing, because how COVID spreads through moisture, is that the right, or through like kind of like mucus and spittle, basically.
Yeah, no, you're right. Moisture. Mm-hmm.
When you'll see, if you've ever seen pictures of a makeup art station, typically we'll have an entire counter laid out with product, of palettes, of shadows, of powders, 50 brushes, and a beautiful bouquet. That's not how it is anymore. At this point, it's all in individual containers. It's all in boxes. It's all in bags that you can sanitize and wipe them down. And you take out what you need. You close that container back up. Mm-hmm. You use it on that actor. And then you take those products that you used on them and you put them in a separate pile to be sanitized afterwards. There's a couple of different resources right now that are honestly fantastic. There's a number of certifications that you can take. So certifications are...
There's different certifications, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think like 4 or 5 different companies that are doing different certifications.
Okay.
Most of them are free. So the free ones, because I think that is always do the free ones first.
Yes.
Is Barbicide has both a regular sanitation one and then also a COVID sanitation one. Lucasol, Milady Pro, Safe Sets International. That's one that even if you're not a makeup artist, it's actually just aimed at film production in general, is Safe Sets International. Dermalogica Clean Touch is another fantastic one to do. And all those 5 are all free. And then one that you do have to pay for is Sanitation Conversation. And that one's focused on makeup artistry themselves. And what I would recommend is do what I did, and that is wait for a sale. That way you can, because they've actually been around since before COVID. And I think when they first launched, it was like $50. Post-COVID, they changed some of their program, and it then jumped up to $100 for their certification. But I did it at 4th of July when they had a $25 off coupon. That was much better. So all of those are great.
Balling on a budget.
Story of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also a lot of Instagram accounts you can follow right now. Create Safely is my favorite one. And they're all about basically figuring out different tools and product recommendations for making your workspace as a makeup artist as safe as possible And a lot of it's just like, hey guys, this makeup artist sent in this video of here's one of their practices that they're doing, and here's this container they got and how they're utilizing it. Daiso right now is a makeup artist's favorite store because it's cheap, and they have so many weird containers that you can utilize for various things.
Right. Huh.
And I feel like this was a really, really long, rambly answer, so I apologize.
No, it wasn't. Well, because it also doesn't just necessarily apply to film sets either. Like, it applies to just safety in general. Like, if somebody's working in fashion, or, just doing any hair and makeup experience, if you have to touch another fucking human being, want to see some papers. Just want to see some papers.
Like, this weekend, I'm doing makeup for an actor doing his headshots. And it was interesting because he reached out to me and I was like, yeah, I'm available. And then he was like, oh, by the way, are you like COVID certified? That's the photography rule with the makeup artist is you have to be COVID certified. And I was like, yes. Certified. Here's the 5 different certifications I need. Does that cover it?
It's like one of those wallets that have like different pictures and stuff. It's like you have like a plaque with like the different shit. It's like, let me show you everything.
Yep, 100% is what that is.
I keep my papers in my back pocket for a situation like this.
I've seen some makeup artists, and I'm considering doing it, where they literally print out the different certifications, laminate them, and then put them on like a key ring. So they can be like, here we go.
Well, yeah, and it feels like that's going, I don't know. I feel like that takes it a little above and beyond, which I love, because that means they're passionate and they just want to ensure safety for everybody. Which I know there's probably some people who do ask for that. But if you're one of those people who ask for them certificates, give your artists a break.
Also, yeah. I'm now. This is where when people right now, one of the things I've had a couple conversations with friends about is when we're getting hit up to do free makeup on jobs right now. Number 1, always pay your people. Like, if you can, try and pay them. Number 2, right now it's really a bad time to expect anyone to be doing free work. We haven't had work in months. So we are desperate, but we are desperate to make money. Also, for a lot of us to actually work safely, we're having to invest so much money into our gear right now. Like, yeah, I've been very hesitant to spend a lot of money because there's some things that I see some people doing that I'm like, I don't know if in 6 months we're going to need to be doing that. So I'm not going to go and spend $400 on all these things
to just collect dust. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that being said, there's certain things I'm like, okay, that is worth the money because even after this, it's actually probably a good idea. One of the things I'm going to be buying soon that I haven't yet is a UV light box. That's okay. It's pretty much at this point, I think, going to be a new standard tool for makeup artists. Mm-hmm. But those are
and for a dummy like me, what is the best use for a UV light?
So UV light, the way they work basically is like they're almost like mini ovens, honestly, that just do the UV light that'll kill germs. So they're good for non-porous surfaces. So
right,
it won't kill all the germs in like a cream product. Mm-hmm. However, it'll kill the germs sitting around the cream product. So it's not like you can just pop everything into the UV box and it's all done. You still need to be doing safe practices beforehand, not cross-contaminating, wiping it down with the tissue, spraying it with disinfecting alcohol, but then as kind of a final step, putting it in the UV box.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I I did not know that. That's why I'm like, I'm not gonna act like I know I know what a UV box does, but I still answered like as I was like, oh yeah, good purchase, yeah. Yes, yeah. It's like, I made a really exquisite purchase in buying a couple of comic book volumes of Preacher, but I know where I like to spend my money. I'm kidding. But hey, that's it for questions. And I think that's it for podcasts. We've gone a solid 2 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, if you feel like you didn't get enough podcast, I truly don't know what to say. I don't know what to say because we gave you the content, we gave you the time, and we talked to a dope-ass gangsta who is a hair and makeup artist. Well, yeah, makeup artist. Talented and LA-based. So anyone from LA, we got a job for Roxy, hit her up. Facebook, we love you. Instagram, thank you for your questions. But as always, we're going to do this again, same time next week. Different guest. Maybe, well, who knows? Who knows? We might have good old Roxy again because, things just happen. Things just like slip in the cracks. Christine was supposed to have a triumphant return. Unfortunately, she is caught working, so she needs to, go about her work. I know. Fucking, how dare she? How dare she? How dare she turn her backs against the fans? But guess who did it? This guy. Okay? I'm here to stay. Okay? Me and my pajamas are not going anywhere. All right?
Your pajamas, your phone, you're in it for the long run.
And I'm in it for the long run. I'm here to stay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much, Facebook. We love you. And that's it for the Get Reelisms podcast. That's been me, Adam Chase Rennie. Go on getreelisms.com, pick up a Get Reelisms book. You guys, do I have to keep explaining this? Get yourself the Get Reelisms book, okay? I say this every single week, but I'm a broken record at this point, okay? Help out Christine. And, maybe some of you are like, Adam, I don't have the money. Are you stupid or something? Like, who's spending money right now? I get it. I completely get it. But if you want to chase that filmmaking career and you have that much experience, picking up that book is a wise decision, my friend. And while you're there at getreelisms.com, go to Christine's blog. She made a recent post about working during COVID as a first assistant director. So, and it's been picked up by other news articles and stuff like that. So,
oh, that's rad.
Yeah, it is. A few articles, like a filmmaking article like an online filmmaking article picked it up. And it was like female filmmakers and stuff. So yeah, good on Christine Chen.
Oh, awesome.
Follow her on all social media. Go on youtube.com/moththeflamefilms. Find all the behind the scenes of Shakespeare on the Range. You can find Roxy McDaniel there. Good old Roxy McDaniel looking stressed out. But you can see Matthias shove a camera in her face and have a good time. But as always, thank you so much, Facebook. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
Goodbye.